Wherefore, Part 10. There is a period of disorientation. All of the scales are wrong. His body is too big, and then it is too small. There is a vast, powerful, muscular awareness, a wild, ecstatic sense of self that folds back into the everyday as Alfred remembers himself. It does not entirely leave, however. He blinks at the field, and at the large cows nearby, and at his own nudity. There is a quick scrabble for the clothes he was wearing that afternoon. He finds them, muddy and trampled, but wearable. The moon has set behind the hills, and twilight lies softly on the landscape. He is in the field, just like last month, just as Tasha predicted. She is here too, naked in the grass, just a few feet away. Beside her lies another woman, her equal for attractiveness and also naked. Alfred takes his time looking. He wonders who the new woman is and what she will think on waking into this situation. It is tempting to sit here and admire the alluring sleeping women, but Alfred is chivalric by nature. He turns his back on them and heads up the field. Ducks through the fence, retrieves a blanket from his car and heads back down. By this point, both women are awake and deep in conversation. He hands the blanket over without comment. As the new woman wraps herself up and Tasha retrieves her clothes, Alfred finds he feels oddly wise. He is experienced in the business of waking naked in a field. The third member of their amnesiac no-pyjamas party is called Amy, and she has no idea what's going on either. There is panic in her voice, but Tasha seems to have the situation in hand and is talking her down. He keeps a distance, conscious that as a man his proximity might only make things worse. A reasonably tall and solidly built man at that. The last thing he wants to do is add to the alarm by seeming threatening. With hindsight, he marvels at how brave Tasha was dealing with it all a month previously. He picks grass out of his teeth and waits to see what, if anything, is required of him. Now fully dressed, if muddy, Tasha asks for his car keys and heads off up the field. Sat in the grass, Amy looks at him with large, luminous eyes. He manages a small smile. It never crossed my mind someone else would turn up, he says. I don't suppose you know what's happening to us. This is very confusing, she says. Tears trickle down her cheeks and she looks away from him, saying nothing further. Alfred has no idea what to do with this. Any move on his part might just make things worse. We'll figure it out, he says. And so far we know it relates to the full moon, but not what happens or why. He feels easier taking this approach. There are feelings rampaging about on the inside, but he does not want to let them go on a stampede where they might be seen. It will take him a while to make sense of them, and he would rather do that alone. Under his skin there remains that too large, too powerful feeling, as though something much bigger has been folded into him. It is, on its own terms, quite a pleasant feeling, but it is not how he normally experiences himself, and this is troubling. Is it him, or other than him? Was it there all along? How can his skin feel like it belongs to someone else? Why are there lots of bits of grass between his teeth? Tasha returns, carrying her spare clothes. She holds the blanket for Amy to get dressed underneath it. The two women are about of a size. Amy is a little taller, Tasha has a fuller figure, and it balances out. A woman with dogs wends her way along the footpath at the edge of the field, looks their way and quickly looks ahead again. Alfred wonders how this scene appears from the outside. Back in his kitchen there is toast, tea, and the comfort of familiarity. The field seems less real and immediate. Tasha makes them all go over their experiences in detail and writes down everything. Nothing new emerges from this process. They discuss it, but are none the wiser. An image floats back across Alfred's mind, dreamlike and uncertain. He tries to pin it down, fleeting and gossamer though it is. What happened to the cows? He asks. The two women fix their attention on him. What cows? Tasha asks. I don't remember any cows. I do, Alfred says. Just as I was waking up, cows, big, Dark. I don't know. I'm not especially wise in the ways of cows, to be honest. In the field? Tasha asks, frowning. Yes, he says. But there are never cows in that field, he adds. Could they have come down from the common? Tasha suggests. He thinks this is possible if the cows are out. It is funny what kind of details now seem important. I don't remember seeing any cows, Amy says. She's not said much to this point, clearly a bit in shock from the whole experience. I would remember. Cows scare me. She looks at them in turn. I got chased by a massive herd once. I thought I was going to die. Cows kill more people than sharks do. You've got to take cows seriously. Speech made, she returns her attention to the cup of tea clutched in her hands like a life-saving device. I might have imagined them, Alfred said. It's all a bit hazy. But you think you didn't, Tasha replies, and you were awake for some time before us. They make eye contact. He has mostly avoided that today because he doesn't know what to make of Tasha, and having Amy around creates even more awkwardness. She is too much. His body simply isn't big enough to safely hold how she makes him feel, and he does not want to feel this out of kilter with himself. When she looks at him, it is as though he is someone else entirely. What if there were cows when you woke up and no cows when Amy and I woke up? Tasha says. There is a long silence. Am I following this right? Amy asks. Do you think we turned into cows for a while? It's a possibility, Tasha replies. She writes it down in her newly acquired full moon notebook. It wasn't cows, Amy says. Nothing that domesticated. I had a really clear feeling, and it was older and wilder than that. There are wild cows, Alfred says. Amy gives him a look, and it is right up there with Tasha's problematic glances for the unsettlement this causes him. I'm knackered, Tasha says, closing the notebook. I propose a mid-month meeting to plan ahead for our next full moon. Phone me if anything comes up, yeah? Alfred nods. We can walk together if you like, Amy says. And they go. And he is alone and disorientated and has kissed neither of them. There is a small thought in his head, growing in size now that there is no reason to quiet it, that he might have kissed both of them. It is another one of those impulses that calls upon him to be larger than he really is, more spacious, inside and out. He knows the feeling well now. There was a hefty dose of it as he came to his senses in the field. Was that the feeling of having spent the full moon as a cow? Or something like a cow, but older, wilder, and less predictable? The kind of cow that took him so far from his usual self that he could end up kissing one stranger and tempted to do so with another. Cows were hardly the first creature that came to mind when trying to find a metaphor for pure animal impulse. He supposes that technically he's probably a bull, not a cow. Would he end up with an entire herd of them? Alfred goes back to the table and the teapot and wonders how to make sense of all this.